Expansions are your ticket to success in Farmville at first. When you start playing the game, the space on your farm will hold up to 12 times 12 plots. You should try to upgrade your farm as soon as you have enough spare coins. For only 10,000 you can get the homestead that can take up to 14 times 14 plots. You have to get the upgrades in order. You can't jump ahead to an even larger upgrade. You have to buy the next size first. The neighbor requirements shouldn't be a problem, since you already have enough neighbors for up to 28 times 28 plots if you got the 50 I recommended right at the start. You can also pay for upgrades with farm cash if you want to spend real money on the game or have enough from leveling up and using promotions. The cheapest, largest expansion you can buy with farm cash is the plantation. That will give you 20 times 20 plots, but still only costs 20 farm cash like smaller expansions before. The ones after that cost more farm cash the larger the size. You should also keep in mind to keep some money back to pay for extra plots that have to be plowed and seeded too. Always plow and seed the available plots before you expand, otherwise you might spend the money on an upgrade by mistake and not have enough left to pay for planting. I speak from bad experience there. If you have trapped your farmer in the middle, you will have to change the place, one to the front and one to the left every time your farm becomes bigger. As your farm grows, you can start thinking about using machines to farm. Older guides might tell you that you should always farm by hand, but they were written when you could only have up to 400 plots. With the latest expansions you can have up to 784 plots. If you trap your farmer, they will take about an hour to work on without vehicles. And I can't imagine that it's fun to click 2352 times to harvest, plow and plant them every time. Check out the part on vehicles if you want to learn more about that. You can also afford to lose a few plots to functional buildings as your farm grows. And of course you get more space for some decorations that you want to display as well. Since the topic expansions didn't take too long, I'd like to give you a quick look at a less fun topic: problems in the game. Pretending Farmville is perfect will only work until you try it yourself. There are always errors, and it's only natural that the problems occur, especially with new releases. So I think it's worth taking a quick look at. I hope to give you some advice that will make playing more enjoyable, if only because you will be prepared for problems and not get too frustrated by them, or I can give you a few hints what to do and what to avoid if problems occur. One very common error, and one that I have to deal with frequently, is the out of sync error, OOS for short if you read discussions about it. That means that what you're doing now won't be saved, but you still have to reload the page in order to start playing again. It gets frustrating if it happens several times in a row, so here are some hints what you can do to avoid causing them yourself. If you tend to get out of sync errors, turn off the snack bar. while you work on your farm, and don't pick up goodies from the feed manually either, because the server will get different information from your open farm than from the newly collected stuff. Sometimes the out of sync errors happen a lot during planting or harvesting new or limited edition crops, so you can avoid growing those for a day, for example, until the problems get fixed. Actually, most problems get dealt with by Zynga quite fast, but for some of the problems there just isn't an easy solution and they take longer to fix. If you run into a problem and become annoyed, it is always a good idea to check the bug section of the forum to see whether other players are experiencing the same problem as you. Often you can also find workarounds here. That means that you can still play but might have to do something differently than you normally would in order to be able to do what you want to do. If your problem can't be found in the bug section, it is always good to look in the user support section as well, because some of the things that you consider problems may just be different than from what you expect them to be. If something goes wrong, it is always a good idea to publish your problem and comment in the user support or bug section. Because you can also ask your neighbors to help on your status or by message or chat. What does not help to fix a problem though is venting your anger and frustration on your status, since Zynga will never know about it. You might come to think of Farmville as one of your favorite games, and since you gave the game all sorts of permissions to post to your wall and so on, you might think that the makers of Farmville can read your status just like your friends can. That is not the case. So it may help you to vent your frustration, but if you put problems on your status and call for Zynga to fix them, they will never know about it. It's just the same as posting negative comments about new items on fan pages. Many users seem to believe that they will be read by someone in charge of Farmville. Don't count on that. If you want something changed, write on the forum. There you can also get feedback from other users who might be able to tell you what they do to deal with the problem. You can also write to Farmville's customer support if you have a problem with missing items that only concerns your account. 6 easy ways to solve problems yourself are changing from Facebook to farmville.com or vice versa, closing and reopening your browser, shutting down and restarting your computer, changing your web browser, updating your Flash player, and clearing your browser cache. Sometimes there are problems that only hit Facebook or farmville.com, so it might already fix your problem if you change from one to the other. Since some problems may only occur once because something has gone wrong during the browsing session, an easy quick fix is always to close and reopen your browser. And if the problem persists, you can also restart your computer. Maybe the computer will also make upgrades and updates at restart that will fix the problem. Sometimes problems occurs because your browser isn't up to date or too new, so switching to a different browser may solve the problem. Flash player upgrades sometimes cause problems with Farmville, but sometimes your Flash player is too old for new features to work, so getting an upgrade about a week after the release when nothing has gone wrong for other users who use it is a smart move. Sometimes problems are connected to what your browser has downloaded from Farmville earlier and new things that have been just introduced, so deleting things your browser has stored helps solve those problems. You can just go to clear recent history in Firefox's tools and choose time range everything, and if you click on details you should uncheck the site preferences, and then everything else should be cleared by clicking on clear now. I hope you won't run into too many problems in Farmville. If you do, it's always good if you can just wait for a day for things to be fixed if there is a general problem. If that is the case, Wither is usually turned off until the problem is fixed.